What's up, everybody? Welcome in. It's great to see you again here on the Awesemo YouTube channel. I am Adam Kaufman. I am joined by Greg Ehrenberg against all odds. All odds. You know, normally we'll talk odds. We'll talk about whatever sorts of things here in these Awesemo programs. The line on whether or not Greg was going to be able to actually join us here for the Yahoo NFL Thursday program, well, it was a long shot, but we managed to overcome adversity. He's here. He can hear us. Hopefully you'll be able to hear him. How are you, bud?
Damn it. All right, we're doing poorly here, but I didn't even understand what happened because we're having a conversation, right? We're going back and forth. You're here, Jordan's here. We're talking about whatever he's doing with his friends that are over there in the background. But it's the thing where we're having a conversation. There's no issues. As soon as he starts counting down to start the show, nothing works anymore. I can't hear anything. I could see you guys. I could see that your mouths are moving, but I can't hear. And it's what's going on here? And then all of a sudden it just starts working again for no reason whatsoever. Like all the same settings are working and we're all good.
Jordan still is not happy with the way this is going right now. Greg, fix your mic. At least we know you can hear us. That's a big plus.
Jordan, it's connected. I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is.
All right. Well, we're going to persevere. I'll tell you what, here's what we can do for the next couple of moments. You don't have to look at either of us. I'm just going to talk and talk and talk about our great friends, our great sponsors, our great partners with this program. Of course, I'm talking about our friends at Yahoo because this is the Yahoo NFL Thursday show, and we will talk about Los Angeles, the Rams at Seattle coming up in a moment. But here's the deal. We've partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NFL season to bring you an offer. It's almost too good to be true, folks. Thanks to that partnership with Yahoo, we have an exclusive deal. Gets you 2 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. I'm talking 2 free months. You heard that right. And to qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo. That's the one little caveat here. Sign up for an account via the link in the video description below. Deposit and play. It's really just that simple. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access because you want to play today, understandable, email support@awesemo.com. We'll get you set up. Just to emphasize, the offer is for new Yahoo users only. New Yahoo users only. If you are already a Yahoo user, I'm sorry, you won't be eligible for this promo. In addition, though, you can claim $10 of free contest entry credit via the Yahoo 10 link in the description below, which can be used to enter Yahoo contests, including tonight's $150,000 Thursday Night Football Baller. So with your 2 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum, you will have access to our tools, our projections, specifically designed for Yahoo, so you can win big. So take advantage and join today. All good? All makes sense, Greg?
Yeah, is the microphone working? I hope you guys could still hear me. There's still a part of me saying like, oh, am I going to start talking again and the microphone's going to stop working?
You need a signal. If your mic goes out, should I just
how would I do
my hands like crazy or something?
Yeah, or just start taking your clothes off, and I'll get the hand. I'll be like, oh, something is amiss. I also want to just to
shut people up for sure.
Yeah, and then everyone will be like, oh no, something has gone horribly wrong. We've got all right, so now Jordan has a different issue with my microphone. It's working too well now?
Yeah, well, he feels you're loud. You're a little overmodulated. It's not bothering me that much, but I live in a house with 3 kids, so I'm used to loud noises.
All right. Well, I could change the settings here, but I'd have to be doing this on the fly. I'll try to keep it down an octave here. But also, I wanted to address. We did get a question here in the YouTube chat from a Derek Speck who said, is there a way to add a rule to Fantasy Cruncher to produce 4-2-3-3 lineups? And yes, if you go into Fantasy Cruncher, you can either go to the Team Stacks tab and set a certain number of players to be on individual stacks, or also just in the under the advanced settings, you could set a minimum amount of players for each team. That'll also give you that those particular lineup settings. So want to address that out of the way, and now we can talk about Yahoo, and hopefully we're all good on an audio standpoint here.
I just want to talk about this game, man. I'm excited. I mean, we've generally speaking, whether it's Thursday, Sunday, Monday, we've had pretty good primetime games all the way through the first 4 weeks of the season. But here in week 5, we're beginning with, what some might say is a legitimate football game here, Greg, even despite the short turnaround here on a Thursday. Obviously, these teams played back on Sunday, but the Rams and the Seahawks, you got an NFC West showdown. Rams coming off their first loss of the year to the Cardinals. They had been 3-0 obviously before that. So the Cards, the only NFL remaining unbeaten so far. So obviously a whole lot of parity in the league as we are used to. Seattle able to put aside its 2-game skid, came up with a W, and so here we go, 2-2. It's not must-win territory necessarily for Seattle, but should be a fun one between these two teams, and a whole lot of sort of interesting little subplots to this one. You know, Matt Stafford, granted, obviously he was in Detroit. He hasn't been with the Rams for a long time, so he's never won in Seattle. Lost there in the playoffs a few years back. He's 0-3 there. I think 1-3 in his career against the Seahawks. You know, he's obviously got a whole lot of weapons around him. He's had tremendous stats so far this year, great protection naturally from that O-line with the Rams, and or rather with the Rams. On the other side for the Seahawks, you know, they have been kind of abysmal defensively so far with, you know, what we might expect them to be able to do there to Matt Stafford. But again, among the things that we can dive into and a lot of the injury concerns as well, we don't know what the deal is going to be with Chris Carson, and therefore is Alex Collins going to be a real must play for a lot of people in the backfield for Seattle? Is DK Metcalf going to play with the foot injury? I would assume so, but he was limited during the week. So what are the expectations for him, obviously, with other viable options in addition to him in that Seattle offense, especially the passing offense? Tyler Lockett's been crazy this year. And you got Gerald Everett, who is questionable with the COVID list right now. We don't know if he's going to get that second negative test and be able to play in this one. So before we go position by position, what's the biggest thing you're watching for in this game?
Without a doubt, just the overall status of Chris Carson, just because my assumption right now is that he's not going to play. Most reports have indicated he's not going to play. He's dealing with a neck injury that appears to be a chronic issue that's bothered him in the past. It's a short week with being a Thursday night game. So my assumption is that he doesn't play. Our projections right now are also assuming that he doesn't play. We currently have Alex Collins projected to be the lead back, which makes him an overall great value play on all sites for single game contests tonight. But still, it's something that we don't know for sure. So we're going to need any kind of update on the information first in terms of, is Chris Carson out? If he plays, is he limited? And then number two, if he's out, is Alex Collins indeed going to be the starter? But right now our projections operating under the assumption that will be the case with Alex Collins starting.
All right, so that's just a little sneak preview on the backfield. We'll get to the running backs, but first let's talk about the quarterbacks, because rightfully so, Greg, these are the two projected top scorers in this game. I know when it comes to the superstar category, a lot of people are going to be, again, leaning on these two guys, Matt Stafford, Russell Wilson. According to our own Alex Baker, with, of course, the Awesemo projections, these guys are projected to have basically the same night, 22.4 points for each of them on our projections that we have available to you. Again, Awesemo plus Platinum tool. You want to check that out so you can see what's available. They're priced very similarly. You got Stafford, $34, Wilson at $33. Wilson, I would say, is a bigger threat for the big night in the sense that obviously he's mobile, he can run, he can rush for a touchdown. He's going to do some things with the legs that Stafford's not going to do. But, that being said, which guy stands out more, or does it just come down to, look, you're putting both in your lineup and you got to decide which one's going to be the superstar?
Yeah, so relative to the prices and salaries, I think these are the two highest priority plays in the game. We've seen some Thursday night football games as of late with, let's be nice and call it suboptimal quarterback play or suboptimal projected quarterback play. This is not the case. We have, like you said, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, both project for way more fantasy points than anybody else in the game. And the other thing to consider too is they're actually cheaper than Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp we have projected for 16.92 fantasy points at $37 salary. So he is considerably more expensive than Russell Wilson, $4 more, $3 more than Matthew Stafford, also projected for about 6 less fantasy points than those two. So in terms of pay up options in this game, I think it's pretty clearly Russell Wilson and Matt Stafford. I think we want to do whatever we can to get them into lineups. And then we figure out the rest from there. It's a little scary when we start talking about some of the skill position players. And I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. When we talk about Cooper Kupp, relative to salary, he just simply doesn't look like a good player in this game. But it's also concerned just because he's been so good this year. But according to our data, the projections, Wilson, Stafford, I think we have to talk about them in the same context of Cooper Kupp due to salary. I think the two of them are much stronger plays than Kupp.
Let me throw some numbers out at you on these quarterbacks. First on Stafford, again, he's got 1,222 yards this year, 11 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. The line has protected him. He's only been sacked 3 times in 4 games so far. Seahawks have a really banged up pass rush, which is something to be mindful of going into this one, obviously. Also, when it comes to the Rams, second best at converting on third down. So we know they're able to move the chains, put up a bunch of points, all that good stuff. Wilson on the other side talked about some of the different things that he's able to do. We know we've been watching this guy for years. He's an MVP, a Super Bowl winner, all of that. The Rams defense is not what you historically would expect it to be with some of the manpower they have there. Yes, Aaron Donald, three-time defensive player of the year, has sacked Wilson 13 times in his career. It's actually the most times he has sacked any quarterback in the NFL. But the rest of this Rams defense here, Greg, I mean, you've got 27th in yards allowed, 18th in points allowed through a few games. They allowed 61 points combined against the Cards and the Bucks the last couple of Sundays. So I don't know, which one do you think ultimately has the higher ceiling here in this one?
Well, so I think the answer to me is Matt Stafford. We have him projected to have a 36.4% chance to be the top scoring fantasy player in the game compared to 28.7% chance for Russell Wilson. And then the other thing also, when we talk about the Rams defense and some of the struggles they've had, the strength of schedule is ridiculous for that defense. Like you mentioned, they've played against the Bucks, they played against the Cardinals. It's not like they're giving up all these points to the Jaguars or anything like that. So I still look at it as a pretty good defense, and Russell Wilson on the whole has been a better fantasy quarterback than Matthew Stafford over the last few years, but Stafford's not been in the kind of situation he is right now with the Rams. So at least according to our projections, when we have Stafford with a 36.4% chance to be the top fantasy scorer in the game, 28.7% chance for Russell Wilson, give me Stafford as the slightly higher upside quarterback who's a higher priority.
You've teased some wide receiver stuff, talking Cooper Kupp and whatnot, but let's go to the running backs because, like you said earlier, that's really the big thing everyone's watching up. You know, keeping an eye on leading into this game. We got about 5 hours basically to the minute until this thing starts a little bit later on. Darrell Henderson, we know what he is, what he's capable of course, coming off an injury, but came back last week. 13 projected points, $23. Pretty much renders Sony Michel useless, as long as Henderson is available and useful. And I expect he's going to be in probably in the optimal lineup, but certainly in a big chunk of lineups. And then, like we said, it's the Alex Collins debate against Chris Carson, and it's just a lot of wait and see. But I've heard some people, and you hit on this a little bit earlier as well, saying that, look, even if Carson does play, based on just the price points, Alex Collins is a guy you might want to consider because Carson is banged up for one. So how much is he going to be available? And Carson, again, Collins, he's just so cheap. He's $13.
$15, right? Or is it 13?
I think it's 13. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll double check.
Let me refresh this then. But either way, Alex Collins
15. You're right. $15.
Okay, there we go. I'm saying, like, am I having more tech issues here? Is this something else?
No, you're good.
It's like the audio doesn't work.
Turn up your mic, turn down your mic, get the pricing points right.
It's like I already can't see. I already can't hear. I already can't speak. It's like, can I not see now also? Is it just all the senses failing me? But anyway, Alex Collins, $15, pretty clearly to me the top overall value play in this game for points per dollar sense, under the assumption, like we said, that he's going to be the starter number one and that Chris Carson isn't going to play. Two things that I assume to be the case right now as of 3:20 p.m. Eastern time. So we've got 5 hours until the game starts. But as of now, $15 for Alex Collins. Like I said before at the top, we have him projected to be the starting running back. That has him projected for about 11.2 fantasy points. You compare that to the players priced around him. Robert Woods is projected for almost the exact same amount of fantasy points, but he's $4 more expensive. Then you look at somebody like Tyler Higbee. He's $1 more expensive, but we have Alex Collins projected for about 2 more fantasy points. So in this price range, he's pretty clearly the guy to go to. And once again, we need an update on Chris Carson's status, but Alex Collins to be very, very high priority play.
How big a hit does he take, though, in terms of that 11-point projection if Carson is out there?
Well, he's unplayable if Chris Carson plays. Even if it's a situation where it's a 50-50 workload split, I would just be off them. I would be off both of them. Also, there's a chance that maybe DJ Dallas gets a couple of snaps or something like that. So if Chris Carson ends up playing, I don't want to play Carson in that situation. I don't want to play Alex Collins. But good on you for bringing that up also, because I think that is also a relevant what if scenario to bring up.
Well, and it's interesting too, because even with what he's projected at right now, just looking at the optimal on Fantasy Cruncher, neither guy is in there. They're maybe it's a to play it safe mentality, or maybe they're just a better combination of obviously fits that work better. Henderson is in there, but neither running back on that Seattle side, Carson or Collins.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's for me personally, though, I guess it also is going to come down to a price point thing. So maybe Alex Collins isn't projected to be in our number one top scoring lineup. But even so, actually, I don't think that's the case either, though. But if that is the case, I'll say that I still think he's the top overall value play in this game. And then also talking about Darrell Henderson from the other side at $23. For sure, in play. A little bit of concern for me, though, that he's been a little bit banged up, and this is also a short week for him. He's been so involved in the run game and the pass game that he's certainly a viable option at $23, but it's not somebody who I would look at and be like, is a must play. Just somebody who I want to be kind of somewhere even with the field on.
I can't believe this guy in the chat saying you're too nice to people on Twitter. Does he follow you on Twitter, or does he follow somebody else?
Yeah, I don't know, but I've built a fair amount of enemies on Twitter.com and social media. But here's the thing that's key, Kaufman.
Yeah.
Here's where you made it in life. Once people, and made it is a relative term, but at least where I want to be in life. Once people who are following me and they dislike me, that's a fantastic place to be in.
Yeah, no, that's when you are, the Howard Stern kind of polarizing, right? Liked or loved, or hated or despised, as long as people care what you have to say, doesn't really matter what they think of you personally.
Yeah, for sure. And we're doing big business trolling people on Twitter right now.
You're and like a true magician while you're at it. All right, let's go to the wide receivers, my friend, because we got Cooper Kupp, who you talked a lot about off the top. Obviously, it's not the easiest thing to get both QBs and Cooper Kupp into your lineup, necessarily depending on, how much you want to pay down elsewhere. But Cooper Kupp, he's $37. He is projected for about 17 points. Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, about 11.5 points, $19. Van Jefferson, interesting play at $13. He is 9.3. And I'll give you the Seattle side, but let's start with the Rams here. What's your approach to this group? Is it just, I don't know, to me, and it's not even because he's coming off a touchdown or anything like that. I just look at it and say, like, Robert Woods just makes so much sense as a value play in this game that, and I know Cooper's getting a third of the targets from Matt Stafford this year. I'm not dismissing the ability of Kupp to break the slate or anything like that. I just think Woods is in a tremendous spot.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's relevant to here is because anybody who watched this show that also maybe watched the last show I did for a different site, and for that particular format, I didn't like Robert Woods, but this is where DFS becomes so price sensitive, where the difference here on Yahoo, Cooper Kupp is $37, Robert Woods is $19, so nearly double the price to go on Cooper Kupp compared to Robert Woods. We have Cooper Kupp projected for way more fantasy points. We have Cooper Kupp projected for right around 17. We have Robert Woods projected for right around 11.5. But when Cooper Kupp is nearly double the price, Robert Woods is just by far the better points per dollar play. And then at some point, we have to work skill position players from the Rams into our lineups. Cooper Kupp, I feel like we're just kind of getting priced out of him. Robert Woods at $19, Van Jefferson at $13. Those are just better plays from a salary perspective than Cooper Kupp is. Right now, I'm landing on Robert Woods more than I am landing on Van Jefferson. The reason being there is I'm playing a lot of Alex Collins. So I have Alex Collins a lot of value there, and it gives me a little more cap flexibility. So I don't find it all that hard to get up from the salary of somebody like a Tyler Higbee or salary from somebody like Van Jefferson up to Robert Woods. So as far as skill position players go, Robert Woods is my highest priority pass catcher from the Rams.
Yeah, again, Woods, Jefferson, I know you have a certain number of spots you can use, but if you're thinking about, again, just sort of balancing out your lineup and having both those guys in there, I mean, that's combined, what, $32 as compared to 37 for just Cooper Kupp. So just something to think about, obviously. Again, target share, I'm sure crosses your mind. I get it. Let's go to the Seahawks side, though. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, these guys are essentially equal in terms of how we view them, how we project them going into this game tonight. They're each $25. They're both projected to be basically 14.1, 14.2 points. What's your separator? How are you dividing these guys, or is it come kind of back to what I talked about earlier and Metcalf and the foot injury that he's nursing?
50-50. I don't have, I think people would like there to be a strong take, but I think it is a fool's errand to confidently say what is going to happen between Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf on any given slate. In terms of the amount of lineups they're projected to be, and also that's expected to be fairly similar between the two players. And if you look at some of the games for Tyler Lockett, at least what he had last year, he was really inconsistent, and there was no real rhyme or reason or easy way to predict or project him. because he was so all over the place in terms of consistency. And the thing that I think stands out the most is going through his game log of 2020. I want to bring up some of the box scores he had. If you look at his week 3 game against the Dallas Cowboys, he ended up getting targeted 13 times, caught 9 passes for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. The field goes, we have to play Tyler Lockett now. The upside in this guy is immense. We can't miss out on him. So everybody plays him against the Dolphins the next week. He catches 2 passes for 39 yards. And people go, you know what? We're chasing Tyler Lockett again. We're going right back to this guy. Last week, there's no way he could just totally crap the bed 2 weeks in a row. And then he goes for 4 catches for 44 yards against the Vikings. And what is it? Everybody goes, no more of this Tyler Lockett guy. We're done with this. This guy's finished. And then he goes 15 catches, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns against the Cardinals. And you just go, I don't know what to do with him. And that's really what I think is the key with these Seahawks receivers is both DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett have an immense ceiling. They're negatively correlated. It's very rare that both of them have big games on the same time. But more often than not, one of the two of them goes off. So I just want to look at it as I generally don't want Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf in the same lineups, but I want most of my lineups to have one or the other.
Want to tell you guys a lot of the projections, the numbers we're spouting off to you, talking about the optimal lineups and everything like that. This stuff is available to you really for very cheap. If you don't already have an account with Awesemo Plus, the NFL Express Weekly Pass, something to try out. Just consider it and take a little look because I guarantee it's going to win you money, folks. And it may not redefine your life necessarily, but you'll certainly come out ahead of the $4 that it costs you for a week to try this thing out. Excuse me. It's the best way to introduce yourself to Awesemo Plus NFL. Included access, of course, to the NFL DFS player and ownership rankings, our expert Slack channel. If you want to ask any questions of people like Greg and others, and everything that we have to offer for showdown single game contests. There are a whole lot more details available to you. But trust me when I say just $4 a week. That's it. Kind of a no-brainer. And if you don't like it for some crazy reason, don't do it again. But $4, $3.95, and you can play all sorts of different slates, all the showdowns for every single game that are available to you, the multiple classics and Yahoo and everything that's available to you, tiers, everything else, across the board. Try it out and win some money. We implore you to do so. Let's go to the tight ends here, Greg. Tyler Higbee, guy that we've been talking a little bit about. Gerald Everett on the other side, who, of course, we don't know definitively right now whether or not he's going to play with the short turnaround, him being on the COVID list. But these guys are projected a little similarly. Higbee's in a better spot, I think, understandably so. Obviously, he's more of a high performer, projected for about 9 points, $16. Everett, 8 points, $12. What's your approach here?
A little bit of wait and see with Everett, right? It's hard to know what to know him when he's questionable to play. We don't know if he plays. Is he 100%? Is he going to be on limited snap count? So we need to take a little bit of a wait and see approach with Everett. As for Higbee, I don't think he's a particularly good play at $16. We currently have Van Jefferson project for more fantasy points at $13. Alex Collins project for more fantasy points at $15. Robert Woods project for way more fantasy points at $19. So there's players priced around Higbee that just make for stronger plays. So if you're playing one lineup, I wouldn't consider Higbee. If you're playing 150 lineups, he's a very low priority play. Also, this is another slate where we're talking about before, when you have a cheap receiving option like Van Jefferson, when you have a really cheap running back who's viable to go to an Alex Collins, I just don't know that we really need to get to Tyler Higbee and that kind of salary at $16. It makes him a pretty weak play to me.
Listen, our guy Eric Lindquist, who I do the Friday Yahoo show with for twice the time, by the way. I don't know. We need to talk about something. I spent an hour with him, only a half hour with you. It makes me miss you more and more each and every week. But he's a big Higbee guy this week. I saw his other video that he put out on the Awesemo YouTube channel, and that's a guy that he's zeroing in on. So you guys are on opposite sides here.
Yeah, well, I don't put much stock into what Eric says. I know him and Jordan are best buds now. They hang out in real life, which they post pictures. They hold hands on Twitter.
He might be at his house right now. He's got a whole crew over there.
Yeah, he's got lots of friends. Jordan's so popular. He's got people don't know when because they can't see in the background. But when I'm here trying to work on my audio issues, Jordan's in the back. He's got a whole party going on there. He's got friends there. He's got Keenan there. He's got other friends. He's a big deal, this Jordan. He's very popular.
Honestly, man, like I'm looking at Jordan's back. It's like, it's a much nicer version, but it's like I'm back in my fraternity house. Like he's sitting doing a little bit of like schoolwork here. Somebody else is on his computer sitting at the bar at the background. Another dude's just walking around eating cereal. Like this, this is, are we sure Jordan's not actually in college?
Yeah, for sure. Because nobody would accept him. But beyond that, like community college, perhaps, but not
Sure.
not like university.
You could go get your degree, Jordan. You can get enough, and then you won't have to hang out with the two of us anymore.
No,
I mean,
he
aim
goes
for
to
bigger things
University
in
of
life.
Phoenix. He goes to University of Phoenix online.
Well, I mean, I don't see him get up out of that chair often, so it's possible he's taking online classes. I wouldn't rule it out. All right, DSTs, my friend. The Rams. We've talked a lot. I've already talked a lot about these two defenses so far. The Rams, 7 projected points, $13. The Seahawks, $5 or 5 predicted points, $10. I wouldn't want either of them in my lineup unless obviously you're, really looking for differentiation and trying to win that GPP and just banking on, one of these teams coming up with a pick six and things like these two offenses are just too potent to me.
Yeah, I'm totally on the same page as you. They're thin plays for a couple reasons. Number one, I think this is sets up to be a pretty high scoring game. The total for this game is really high. It's actually one of the higher totals we've seen for any game so far this year, 54.5 points. So I think there's going to be a lot of scoring involved. Both the offense are really good. I think the pace is going to be really high. And the other thing to consider too, which we have to keep going back to, there are a lot of viable value plays in this game. And the opportunity cost of playing the Rams or the Seahawks probably means that, what are you playing them over? You're playing them instead of Alex Collins. You're playing them instead of Van Jefferson. We have those two players projected for, like double the fantasy points of the defenses. So there's an opportunity cost associated with the defenses also. If you're playing 150 lineups and you have them in, 5% of lineups, it's not the end of the world, but very thin plays. And I'd much rather focus on the offense and some of the cheap skill position players than the defenses tonight.
We appreciate all of you hanging out here with us. We're going to be wrapping up in just a matter of moments. Carlos says he's getting his master's online. Eric says if you save up enough crowns, I think you could pay for college over on DK. Jared says, well, he's asking about game script. He wants to talk actual football. T.O. Deck says, LOL, producer Cam, where you at? That's true. We need a producer cam for Jordan. Smash the like button, folks. Hit the subscribe button as well, because for every like and new subscriber that we receive during these shows, if I can go all Sally Struthers on you, that's one more dollar that gets sent to Jordan so that he can pay for his online classes. So really, all you have to do is hit the like or hit the subscribe button, and you can create a better life for our producer. He's giving us the prayer hands.
Here's you don't want to dissuade them now. Like you're gonna scare people away. Do it for me. Do it for Adam. This is our livelihood. Screw that Jordan guy. He's got friends. He's popular. We need your help.
Someone has to buy all that cereal in his house that his buddy's just walking around eating. I tell you. All right, let's talk superstar trait, and then we'll get out of here. I hit it off the top. I think for a lot of people in terms of ownership projection, certainly this is the case. It's going to come down to Stafford versus Wilson. You already said you think Stafford's got the higher ceiling. So is that what you're doing tonight?
Yeah, and it's also going to depend, ultimately where players are going to be most popular. Except if we're just talking about what is optimal lineups, it's going to be Matthew Stafford or Russell Wilson. We have Matthew Stafford a 36.4% chance to be the top scoring player in the game. Russell Wilson 28.7%. If I was going off the board with somebody, I still think Alex Collins, fairly appealing looking. I don't think many people are going to play him in the superstar spot. We have him projected with a 2.4% chance to be the top scoring player in the game, and I don't think he's going to be represented at that kind of level in terms of where the field's at on him. So if you're looking to get contrarian, Alex Collins would make sense in that sort of situation, or go to DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. I don't know which one of the guys it's going to be. I wish I could come out here and definitively say this is a DK Metcalf night or this is a Tyler Lockett night. But
who's it going to be? Crystal ball me right now. Who's it going to be?
If I had to pick one, gut feeling would be DK Metcalf, but it's basically a coin flip. It's not anything I could say with any kind of conviction. And if I'm just being honest, I'm going to have about similar exposure to both of them across my lineups.
All right, folks, we've got plenty of time to go back, relive, rewatch this program to take in all of the great advice. You got about 5 hours until the game starts. And most of what we talked about isn't going to change for at least 4 hours and change anyway, until we do know those inactives. So best of luck with those lineups tonight. Hopefully, above all else, it's a fun game for all of us to watch. Obviously, like I said, someone in the chat was asking about game script. I saw you responded. I think both of us are expecting a high octane, fun, high scoring game. And what better way to kick off week 5, right?
Yeah, and once again, very rare that we get a good Thursday night game with implications, two exciting teams that are fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to it.
He's Greg. I'm Adam. He'll be around plenty, as he always is, on our Awesemo YouTube channel and various other places. You can find him on Twitter, where he's bound to try and aggravate you, but as long as you follow, he doesn't care. Jordan, we love you, buddy. Thanks for being you, for putting up with us, and for getting Greg, audio working and everything. I'll talk to you again tomorrow, 23 and a half hours. See ya.